So the idea here is to, every Wednesday night at 7 p.m., have a quick Facebook Live broadcast on some kind of specific topic regarding self-defense or martial arts or anything related to that. And also I'll leave a little bit of time at the end for questions, because I'm going to be kind of over here by the whiteboard. The phone is away from me and I can't see that far these days. I need to get glasses. I'll try to check in with the comments as we go when I can. But anyway, let's get into the meat of the topic tonight. If you've done any training, or you've been around the training community, or if you are looking at it and you start getting into the training community and taking classes or going to courses and seminars, you're probably at some point going to hear about Jeff Cooper's color codes. And hopefully everybody can see on the board here. Let me know on the Facebook Live if you can see what I've written here. If you can't, then I'm going to talk about it. And I actually had to, for the Facebook Live, I had to write this backwards, so let me know if it's backwards or if it reads legible to you. Anyway, Jeff Cooper's color codes. Usually when we talk about situational awareness, and that's kind of a buzz term these days, is situational awareness. You know, you got to be situationally aware. Oh, you're in a, if you're going about your day, you need to have situational awareness. Oh, what does that mean exactly? And often when you hear this taught, people will mention these color codes. And the color codes are white, yellow, orange, and red, the basic ones. The white, condition white, means you're unaware. You have no awareness. And condition yellow is a relaxed level awareness. It's like conversational awareness. You know, you're awake, you're aware of your surroundings, you're aware of people around you. It's very relaxed. Then we got orange, which means something has piqued your interest. You're suspicious about something. Oh, that guy doesn't look right. Something's odd about him. You're not sure there's a threat yet. You haven't identified one. You're just paying closer attention to a particular stimulus. It may turn out to be a threat. It may not. So we're not sure. But we're paying attention to it. And then red is I've identified a threat and I need to make a decision. Either I need to fight or I need to run. I need to do something. Well, usually when these color codes or the situational awareness concept is presented in courses and classes, this is where they go and then they stop. They just, that's where the discussion ends. But really, how does this really help us? Because if you think about it, it's only after you're in that condition that you know you're in that condition. How does knowing condition orange help you? So, do they really improve your awareness, or is it just a label? Hopefully that makes sense to you. That we're not, the color codes don't reference any kind of specific behaviors or specific things to actually look for. And so if you take that and you just stop there and you go about your day and you're doing some, you're in a situation or whatever, or maybe it wasn't a situation, or a friend even like snuck up behind you, tapped you on the shoulder and scared you, and you think, man, I was supposed to be in condition yellow and I didn't see that. And eventually that can erode your confidence. You're saying, okay, I didn't catch that, he caught me off guard, I must suck at this. I'm terrible at this. And that can erode confidence, and then you're less motivated, or less, you feel like you can't handle the situations as they progress. I don't want to go out in this situation because I got caught off guard by this one time. I don't want to get caught off guard again. And so that's the thing too, and we'll kind of bounce around here. And people say, you should always be in condition yellow. Never be outside condition yellow. Never go into condition white. Well, it really doesn't work that way. And that's really hard to maintain that level of awareness constantly. Here's the thing. You hear this in self-defense circles. Oh, you should never be caught off guard. Well, if that's the case, why do you even train? Why are you training in gunfighting? Why are you training in defensive tactics or self-defense or martial arts? If you're training in physical tactics, that means somehow you got caught off guard. Somehow that threat got under your radar. It is a last resort, because if you were always in condition yellow and you could always see the situation developing before it becomes violent, then you could just leave every single time. So if you're training, by default, you're admitting, I can be caught off guard. And that's the reality of it. So this is a good place to start, but it has to go further than this. Awareness is a fluid thing. It changes and it molds throughout a situation, throughout your day. You're going to have varying levels of awareness. So there's one model that I heard about that Rob Penis talks about is if you've got 100% awareness, so you've got $1 to spend of awareness. Let's say this black dot is you. And I don't have these colors in dry erase pens, so bear with me. And let's say you've got a threat here. Okay. So out of my total awareness that I can spend, and I've suddenly got a threat, most of my awareness is now going to be spent on him. This is my red level from my code. Right? Let's say it's active. He's actually presented a threat. He pulled a knife. He pulled a gun. So there's where our attention has gone. Right? Well, what's going on with the rest of this awareness around you? Let's say you've got a family member with you, somebody you've got to protect, and they're standing kind of behind you. How much awareness is now on them? So maybe you've spent 80% of your awareness on that threat because he's the most dangerous. Or let's give ourselves a little more leeway. Let's say 70. So we got 70% of our awareness on the threat. Well, some of that awareness is going to be spent on protecting the people we care about, right? And so let's say we've put 20% here because we don't want them to get hurt. Well, now we've got 10% left. What does that spend on? Okay, maybe I saw an escape route. Let me put this backwards. So, escape route, right? And we spent, we're trying to get them out of the danger and ourselves out of the danger. So maybe that escape route spent is our 10%, right? I'm going to rewrite these backwards. So we got our 70% and our 20%. Sorry if that looks ugly. Now, what would change if they got away but you're still having to engage with the threat? Then that 20% has gone through the exit route. So now maybe you can focus a little more on that threat. What if there's two threats? The thing is, it's not a static thing with one of these colors. It's fluid, right? It changes as the situation changes. So rather than think, okay, I'm 100% in condition yellow, I'm 100% condition orange, I'm 100% condition red. That awareness changes, right? Hopefully that makes sense to you. So it's okay to get, and you have to, again, we have to admit, we can be caught off guard, otherwise what's the point of training? So our our awareness can be fluid, and it needs to be fluid. You know, if you go to the movies, a large portion of your awareness is going to be following the story of the movie. You're probably not aware of every person that walks through the doors, or every person that walks up through the aisle up to the seats. And even if you do notice them, how can you threat assess? It's dark. How do you know they have a weapon or not? You know, if you go to a restaurant, yeah, a lot of people like to sit with their back to the wall or sit into a corner or whatever. But still, even when you look at the menu, you're looking down at the menu, not out at the crowd. Right? So then a large percentage of your awareness is on that menu and deciding what to eat, not so much on what the other people are doing in this table over here. Right? So if your awareness is turned up all the time, that can burn you out. You know, you turn it up when you need to turn it up, and you turn it down when you don't need it. Right? Turned up all the time is called paranoia. And it's no way to live. You know, don't stress you out by trying too hard. If you constantly stay at that level, as you start to burn out, you're going to start getting sloppy. You're going to start missing things. So you've got to relax. It's like if you overtrain, if you work out too much, it actually breaks your body down. Same thing happens with the mind. If you stress it too much, it starts to break down. You know, don't look for demons behind every shadow. So the difference here, and what I like to do at A.C.T. Defense, you know, awareness is a component of this, but really more importantly is what we call assessment. Assessment is awareness with understanding. You know, so an example, if you've seen the movie Starman, it's an old Jeff Bridges movie from back in the 80s. There's a scene where he's driving and he sees a traffic light, and he's learned, okay, from one other example, it says red means stop, green means go, yellow means go very fast. Well, he's got awareness of that traffic light changing, but he doesn't have an assessment. He doesn't have an understanding what yellow actually means. It means slow down. It means caution. So when you have understanding of what specific behaviors to look for when you're doing your assessment, what specific to be aware of, then that can reduce your fear of things, because you can distinguish between a legitimate threat and your imagination. So that when you have legitimate fear, it's real, and that can save you. Why am I having this fear spike? Oh, my intuition is going crazy. I've looked around. There's a legitimate threat there. There's behavior. There's a physical indicator that things could get bad. Now I can assess that, make a plan, and act on it. You know, whether that's to leave, whether that's to communicate and assert myself, or act submissive and diffuse the situation, or maybe I need to fight. So we talk about this term situational awareness, which is now a buzz term in the self-defense training community. People just, I think, a lot of people spurt it out but don't really know what they're saying. So what is the situation part of situational awareness? You know, what do I need to be aware of in a particular situation? You know, what I need to be aware of in different situations changes. Again, we talk about being fluid. What should your awareness be in a bar with a bunch of 20-year-old, especially drunk 20-year-old males? Your awareness there has to be different than, say, if you were visiting an art museum versus a gas station in a bad part of town at night. In those transitional areas, you know, at the bar, yeah, you can relax until you hear somebody, or you see somebody really drunk and obnoxious, or you hear some kind of commotion. Then your awareness can go up. What to be aware of? Oh, that guy's drunk, he's causing a scene. Now I can assess that person, I can assess the situation. Is it going to come to me? Am I going to have to deal with something, or am I okay? You know, at the art museum, you probably don't have to look for people like that. it's going to be mostly relaxed. You know, unless someone walks in and you just happen to see something, or shots start getting fired, then your awareness spikes up. But while you're enjoying the art, you can relax. And then for the gas station in a bad part of town, yeah, you need to be a little more aware there. You need to look around. You need to turn your dial up higher with your awareness. And assess, what does it mean when two people were just standing there and I'm walking in to pay for whatever, and they kind of split and they start to flank me? That means something. Or if I'm walking down the street and there's 2 or 3 people walking towards my direction and one person splits off, but they're still heading, moving forward, they're basically trying to flank me, yeah, that means something. So awareness without understanding is kind of, I mean, that's paranoia. So we're not going to go too much detail about specifics of what to be aware of. Just know that it's not something so static. There's more to it. And you can go way into depth on this. You know, one thing to assess when we talk about assessment, usually we're thinking about assessing an environment or the threats. But you also need to assess yourself. You know, what intuitive signals am I getting? What does that mean? What's my mood that day? Did I have a crappy day at work and fighting with my significant other, and I'm just in a pissed off mood? I'm grouchy, I'm hungry, and just generally angry at everything. I'm really, you know, it's easy to set me off. Am I going to get caught in what Roy Miller calls the monkey dance because I've got a bad attitude today? What's your unconscious biases? You know, do you, as far as your training goes, are you primarily a striker who usually trains in a very open environment, or have you trained grappling and in a very closed, cluttered environment, say like a living room or a bathroom stall, where you don't have all this movement? You know, are you well-rounded? You know, do you have favorite moves? Because your favorite move may not be available. You know, what's your level of understanding and training? Your knowledge. You know, are you trained or untrained? You know, physical assessment of yourself. What's your level of fitness? You know, do you have any injuries? Are you sick? Do you have the flu? You know, are you carrying stuff like a heavy backpack that's going to restrict your movement? Or jeans that are too tight? You know, the shoes you wear. I know a lot of guys like to wear flip-flops in the summertime. I never wear flip-flops in public because if I have to run, I want to run on something that's going to protect my feet, not on something that's going to fly off my feet and tear my feet up while I'm running away or running to help someone. You know, do you have weapons on you? Do you know where they are? Do you know how to use them? You know, a lot of people will switch between ankle holster, hip at 3 o'clock, or appendix. Pick one, train with it a lot so that you know where to go under stress. You know, then also, you know, this is crossing the line between you and your environment. You know, social. You know, who are you with? Are you with loved ones? Do you need to protect someone, or can that person take care of themselves? You know, what's the legal situation? You got to assess that as well. And then, of course, there's external assessment. You know, the environment. Is it open or confined space? What's the terrain like? Are there escape routes or points of entry? Are there improvised weapons around that you could use? You know, what kind of establishment is it? Is that going to increase your chance for violence or not? Like we're saying, the gas station versus the bar versus the art museum. Of course, the other thing, you know, you've got, as far as environment, the main things are terrain, exit routes, and improvised weapons. But really, none of those can hurt you. You've got to assess the other people around you. You know, potential threats. You know, what are the behavioral cues? You know, what's the pre-incident indicators? Do they have a history of violence? Have they written a manifesto that says they're going to shoot up their office or their school? Pre-contact cues. What are the physical movements that happen before that punch is thrown that show you that they're about to go violent? What's their attitude? You know, did they have a bad attitude? Or are they being really sneaky? What's the clothing say? Does this say I'm a respectable person, I'm wearing a business suit? Or does it say, you know, I'm wearing, like, here's the thing, you can always find the gun guy in a crowd because he's decked out in tons of 511 gear. It gives him away. So even if your gun's not printing, if you look like you're a paramilitary contractor wannabe, good chance you got a gun or you got a knife, and now I know that. Bad guys are smart, they're not stupid. What's his body language like? Does he look like he's under the influence of alcohol or drugs? And then physical cues, how big is the guy, or how small is the guy? What's his fitness level? Scan his waistline. Does it look like he's got weapons around his waist? Because it's generally where people carry their weapons. What's his hands doing? Is he in a group or is he by himself? So, hopefully that makes sense. And we're getting close to the end of the time for this broadcast. Hopefully that makes sense to say, okay, it's more than just spouting off color codes and saying, oh, you have to be in condition yellow all the time. You can't. It's fluid. You got to relax at some point or you'll burn out. I know we got a couple military guys on here. If you're in a military situation, yeah, your awareness needs to be up a little bit higher. But you all know the PTSD that can cause. Whether you're in a situation or not, you get stressed out and you start performing your job worse because you're in this constant state of stress. You've got to relax every now and then. So, plus being at that level of stress, just no way to live. You could say, okay, I'm never going to the movies, or I'm never going to go to a restaurant and eat. I'm always going to do those type of things at home. Well, I hope you enjoy being alone, because if you got a significant other, you got a wife, a husband, at some point they're going to get sick of that. And they're going to be like, you need to take me out on a date night. We should go to the movies and do something. If you got kids, they're not going to want to stay in the house all the time. So, hopefully that makes sense to you. If you found this valuable, let me know. Say something in the comments. I haven't been able to watch the comments because I'm staying away closer to the dry erase board. Feel free to share this video. Also, the next few I'm going to broadcast through the A.C.T Defense page. But be sure to join the A.C.T Defense Facebook group. We're going to be transitioning over there. I've said before, it's a little more two-way conversation, so I can post videos, you guys can post stuff, we can all have this two-way conversation and make each other better and safer. So it's a closed group, and that's just to weed out the trolls and the spammers. And to have, again, more of that two-way conversation. The Facebook page we have is more me shouting out to you and not really getting much back. I'd rather have it be two-way. I think we all can benefit from that.